Welcome to Discussion Mode. This week we're going to do something a little bit more relaxed than we did last week. We're going to look at what Walt Disney has gone and done. So Walt Disney has agreed to buy the bulk of 20th Century Fox for the tidy sum of $52.4 billion. In a deal both companies said positioned them to compete in a rapidly changing media industry. That purchase includes both Fox's films and television studios, as well as a 39% stake in the satellite broadcaster Sky. So Fox is creating a smaller, firm focus on news and live sports, essentially what you associate with their cable channels. So they'll keep control of Fox News, Fox Business Network, Fox Broadcasting, Fox Sports, Fox Television Stations Group, and the sports cable networks. The interesting part, at least to me, and as we will discuss, is the US Department of Justice was recently suing AT&T for $85.4 billion because of a deal with Time Warner where they were trying to buy them out, on the basis that that would raise prices for consumers and competitors. This is what you call an anti-competition law, as in laws that make sure competition is maintained. So the Writers Guild of America West, the union that represents writers in televisions and movies, is currently completely opposed to this deal between Disney and Fox, as they already have sizable amount of control. So what do we think? Do we think Disney is going to take too much power in this position? Can you really have too much power in the entertainment industry? Let's discuss that right now on Discussion Mode. Banner and things and flying shit and a guy with a gun that does this. And joining me this week for the Discussion Mode, of course, is Mitchell.
Rock the Casbah.
Always bringing up a random song reference. Do you even know the full lyrics to that song?
No one knows the full lyrics to that song.
Karaoke Black Hole. And also joining us once again is Russell. Thank you for being here.
To infinity and beyond.
I thought for a minute when you were raising your arm, I thought it was going to be something very different, and the video was over.
Fight the power.
Fight the power.
So, from my little spiel there, I want to finish it off by saying the quote, "The antitrust concerns raised by this deal are obvious and significant." So we won't be dark about it the whole time, but Russell, what was your immediate reaction to this?
The immediate reaction I would definitely get out of this is, what are the cuts going to be to jobs? Because there's definitely going to be a lot of cutbacks, because Fox and Disney Studios are both massive companies, pretty much one of the six big pioneers or big bluster movie industries. So there's going to be a lot of CEO writers that just won't have a job because either their properties won't exist or we don't need them. Like, whatever happened to all the HR people? Like, do they need to exist when Disney's got their own HR?
In general, they don't need to exist.
Yeah, it's basically going to be huge cuts. In particular, like Disney was saying when they formed this merger, that there's going to be $2 billion in savings when this happened between the two companies. So that begs the question, what are these savings? Because there's really only one option that can possibly be, and that is jobs. Like, that's ultimately where the savings is going to happen. Like, there's going to be some resource efficiency, obviously, because they have them all in the central location and whatnot. But people are going to get fired. It's just going to happen. It always happens with big mergers, and people are going to lose their jobs. It's unfortunate, but it will. And the other biggest concern I have is also that the Disney as an industry, in particular Bob Iger, when he took over, has always stated how they're in the business of making blockbusters and that's it. Now, the question bears to mind is, that doesn't fit with what the acquisition they've just made with Fox's stuff, because so many of those movies, for the most part, don't make money. So will Disney continue to make those movies, or will they suddenly rebrand them in like a more Marvel-esque way, in the sense of Marvel is like their kind of Disney branding these days? That's what Disney feels like. It's just Marvel putting the jokes, mass appeal, heaps of flashy action, whatnot, and for the general audiences, they will eat it up. And they've been proven correct in that respect. They're highest grossing movies consistently. So I am very concerned of what's going to happen with some of those lesser properties, or even just like Fox Searchlight and the more independent movies they make. It's just scary to think that creativity being lost because of this merger.
So I find your point about the loss of jobs there interesting, because I also saw the quote of the $2 billion in savings, and when I saw that, all I thought of was a share of resources. So $2 billion could quite easily be like the rental on studios, the requirement to possess equipment, distribution channels and that sort of thing. It's very fair to say that some jobs will be lost, obviously. I don't think that's actually $2 billion worth of people gone. I don't think anyone working at Fox in an actual like central position, if you're one of the major editors there, I don't think Disney's going to go, well, we've got our own editors, you're out. Because it's not like Disney takes Fox and removes the word Fox from everything and puts Disney on. It's just an ownership. So it's like Disney didn't walk in and start writing the Marvel comics. So I don't think that's necessarily how it's going to play out. I'm saying that optimistically. Obviously, if people lose their jobs, then yeah, I'll be pissed. Likewise, I don't necessarily see Disney cutting every movie that Fox makes that isn't a goldmine. Like, I think every studio, much like games, much like book publishers, has the ones that they know will make the profit for that year, and the smaller projects they know will break even plus 20%, and they resource them appropriately, but they still produce them. So I'm not really seeing the risk here. I'm just seeing a corporate buyout. But, if you're right, obviously I'll be pissed.
The way I look at it, Disney doesn't do it. Like, Disney does not have independent movies, period. So, unless they suddenly start making them, and they currently don't, well, is remain to be seen. But right now, with the model they currently exist in, you won't be seeing these movies. They will not be movies. They may be TV shows or network stream services. They will not be blockbuster movies. That's not what Disney cares about. They care about making money. And they're not big enough.
So then it really begs the question of like underperforming movies that Fox make. The chances of them continuing is looking very unlikely if that's the way they look at things, because you've got Planet of the Apes, the last one, I think didn't meet expectations of 20th century Fox. So like you got movies like Alien Covenant, which didn't perform as well either. So you wonder if they reboot that whole thing and just go, well, let's start that again because the direction they were taking wasn't right. There's also Avatar. Avatar is part of the deal. And there's like 5 movies on the line. I wonder what that happens. But that's not the only like concern of this whole thing. It's like, think of, say, Netflix. When Disney wants to create their own, now they have 60% of Hulu, they just pull all their shit off of that, chuck it on their thing, and then they've got this... I think it's the whole point of the merger, really, so they had that catalogue, so that when they push into their own streaming thing, they've got, okay, guys, we've got Star Wars, we've got all the Marvel movies, and what do you guys got? It's like, it just makes them maybe the most good-looking platform. So I wonder where that all goes.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting as well, because as you point out, I think Netflix is going to lose a substantial amount, but somehow will still own the Netflix Marvel shows in some bizarre twist.
I think it's weird.
Yeah, it's unclear what that is at the moment. It's like, maybe they won't. And it seems like they probably won't, honestly.
I mean, you just have to cut the word Netflix out and the episode runtime goes down a second. But, which is fine. What I find most interesting, though, is I think we all knew that the direct stream video market was going to keep fluctuating for a while. What's interesting as well happened to the box office. So the stat we had... references will be down below, is that Disney this year owned 32% of the overall box office, which is down a little bit from last year, but is still huge.
32 will be the overall once they buy Fox. Currently it's at about 20.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's still bonkers. But what's interesting there is the kind of power Disney can actually have. So the stat that was being thrown around that you would have seen here and there is the percentage that they took in US cinemas for The Last Jedi. One of the points I have, and I think the numbers seem to fluctuate a bit, was that they were taking 60% of each ticket. So $10 ticket, they take $6. Which is actually not unheard of for studios in general. Lucasfilm, so back in the day, would do the exact same thing. It's not crazy. I think it's just become more newsworthy because of where Disney's got to, but at a certain point they have a level of power that they maybe shouldn't have, and that's why I was making reference at the start to anti-competition laws that they seem to be sort of flirting with at this point. And then
unlimited power.
Exactly, yeah.
Unlimited power. And the big thing that was coming up was the fact that they can basically manipulate the press. So if the press went, you know what, this product you've made is a bit shit, and they go, you know what, we want a lot of money, they just don't allow that press access to press events anymore. And if you're not at a press event, you don't have an opinion. That's basically how it plays out in the early days of a movie. Having said all that, I think in today's age, where what press media even is shifting so much, I'd be interested to see if they're rising too late to actually pull that off. Also, I don't think Disney is actually interested in ruining their public image that much by doing this. People are scared of what they can do. I don't think they're actually going to do any of it, because I think they know they have a goodwill, but they also know how quickly you can lose it today.
All right, so my major feel also is Disney as a whole, is it even going to be recognizable as what it was originally? Like right now, to me, it's like it's the magical Wonderland kingdom where they all have these big properties that all inspire people to do other things and whatnot. Is it suddenly going to have this overarching corporate business mind conglomerate type goal to it where it really isn't what people think of when they think Disney? They just think of it's just now a money cash cow. They're ruining franchises, they're ruining properties. It's all about just making the bottom dollar, and that's what Disney stands for. Now, right now, I'm begging to already think that with how Star Wars is going, but it's not clear. But with suddenly obtaining so many franchises, it's scary to think of what they could potentially do with so many franchises, and whatever direction they want to take it. If it doesn't fit their kind of bigger money-making scheme, will they just change it up? Don't know. Netflix is the big question in terms of streaming services, what they do there. Because they can suddenly refocus everything on a smaller money-making scheme as well. So it's very unclear, but I do really think it'll have an identity crisis at some point, and difficult to tell what they actually stand for.
I'll throw out my conclusive thoughts to what I think of this, and my reaction is entirely positive. I know people are reacting, and I think that the view of it as being an issue on a corporate level is very real. I think if they continue to expand, you do effectively get to the kind of dystopian world for mega corporations kind of logic. It's very bizarre that one of them would be entertainment based, but this is the world we live in.
Propaganda.
Right? Like, it should be an oil company, right? Not Disney. But overall, I'm not seeing the issue currently. I think once this goes through, as corny as it sounds, the consumer wins in every way. And, I think innocent until proven guilty is in play here. Mitch, what do you think? Are you sitting somewhere on the fence?
So I think the whole thing with this is that Disney really becomes this mega unstoppable force in the entertainment industry. Whether or not we're in better hands with Disney having more control than, say, Time Warner or whatever, they're all companies, they're all evil at their heart. All they want is money. But I think it does impact, like, say, Netflix, but it also opens up a whole new range of, like, how will Disney use these new IPs that they've got? Maybe they'll do it better, but until the sale comes out, they make a movie with this new setup. That's the only time we'll know, but until then, we can only speculate.
Yeah, and
whereas
kind of
to Russell,
seconding
the
that
house is lost.
In the context of, I'm excited for what they could potentially do with the Marvel franchises because it's so closely connected to what they've already been building, but I'm very nervous about what they're going to do with some of these other franchises, especially in the context of creative control, because as soon as you're under one roof and wanting to hit the same kind of blockbuster level every time, they're going to reform them into a very Disney-esque way that I think for a lot of them doesn't fit well. Like, I do like seeing other companies do different things, and even though it might fail, at least they tried something different, where I think Disney definitely proof has been proven in how much they can make, that they know how to make successful franchises. It just doesn't mean they're the franchises I want. It might be mass appealing, but it's not what I want to watch more creative and interesting movies. So that's where I'm kind of torn on this. But yes, I'm excited to see Wolverine potentially take on the Hulk. Yes, I think most people are. That's kind of how I drew out of it.
And I'm getting Doctor Doom, so I'm happy. So we'll come back to this maybe about February and see what they've done. And with that, I want to thank Mitch for being on here as always. I want to thank Russell for joining us. This is a super professional video. Nothing went wrong. Join us next time. Goodbye.
You always look like shit. Let's get on with it.